What was the sentiment like that day?
I was super nervous. Yeah, super nervous. Like, I'm still nervous when I go in the studio with John.
Yeah.
You know, still.
Yeah.
Like, I'll go into his house and I'm like, there's like a bit still of a nervous energy.
Yep.
Because you want to like be on your A game all the time because there's a respect about it. Yeah, about him, you know, that he deserves, that you don't ever want to go in and just kind of fuck around, you know? And so that's the same thing that goes with Goldfinger, and it's obviously like his band and his thing, you know? So you want to make sure that you're like at your best and always performing at your best. And I remember the first show that I had, I think was at the House of Blues Anaheim in 2018. Was the first one that he asked me to play. And it was actually like a year after I had my lung collapsed. So like my lung collapsed at a show in 2017. Whoa. It's actually the second time it happened. It happened in like November 2016, and then it happened again in like January 2017. When I was playing drums, my like lung just collapsed. It was the crazy experience of all time. Don't need to get into the details of it, but it was this kind of like mini disease I had on my lung that created these blisters that like ruptured. And so it was like air came like leaking out of my lung when I would take a breath, and it was like the most painful. I was in the hospital for 3 weeks
during a show.
Had full surgery. Yeah, I was like in the hospital for like 2.5 weeks. They had to like surgically seal my drum to my rib cage so that it never falls, like collapses again. It was a crazy experience. It happened out of nowhere. I was like walking to breakfast and like my lung collapsed.
Oh my goodness.
I was like, there's this huge pressure in my chest. Like, what's going on?
Wow.
Yeah, and then and so I had this like kind of carryover anxiety from that of like, oh my God, like what if this happens during a show, especially a Goldfinger show, of like how crazy the songs are, how much like intensity it is and everything, and how much energy it takes. And so the first show that I played with him, I actually asked him to only play half the set. So I was so nervous. I was like, dude, can I just play half the set? Because I like my lung, like I don't know if like what's gonna happen, but I'm down to do this. And so that was weird, but he was like open, and he was like, cool, of course, like let's go get, you know, someone else to play the other half of the set. And I remember halfway through the set, I was like, damn, I wish I wouldn't have asked him to do that, because I could totally keep going.
Adrenaline.
Right now. Yeah, I was like, I'm good.
Yeah.
You know, so it was like one of those like weird switch the drummer out halfway through the show.
Oh man, dude.
But yeah, and then like all the, you know, from then on I was like, cool, I'm good now. Like I'm great. And like we went down to Australia. I got to tour all of Australia with Goldfinger in 2019 before all the COVID stuff happened, which was like a blessing to see the whole country and like go down there and play 8 shows in every state. Yeah, and it's just so intense playing the Goldfinger songs, like especially for like an hour and 20 minutes. Yeah, like not used to it at that time, and it was just like, this is the craziest experience like I've ever had. Like these fans are wild, mosh pits are insane, like people are jumping off of like buildings into crowds, and like it was insane. I was like, but I was at the same time, I'm like, oh wow, like this is like where I'm supposed to be, you know. 100%. This is awesome,
and it looks sick. Like you playing drums for them, like. I remember being at Feldy's studio, and he needed a drummer, and I linked him up with Cyrus Baluki from Newfound, and he filled in a little bit. Brandon Steinecker, I teched for him over in Europe during a Grows Rock festival. So I've had this like bird's eye view of the drummer's angle with the band, and it's mayhem, exactly what you just said. And it's like seeing you. I love your drumming. Your style's awesome. The poise you have when you play is just really awesome. Like you dominate the drums, and you keep the train on the tracks with Goldfinger, it seems, because it's like that's the band. It's like it's wild punk rock music, and it's just really cool to see you drumming. And like when I saw that first show 5 years ago now at the House of Blues, I saw videos of it, and I was like, that's sick. Like you just went for it, man. Like that's such a crazy opportunity, but also, you know, like sometimes you just have to say yes and put yourself in those situations and go for it.
It was one of those for sure. I was just like, I was so scared to do it, and I'm just like, you know what? Let's just go. Like, when am I also going to get this opportunity again?
Exactly.
You know? I remember like we were sitting around a fire when he asked me to play drums for Goldfinger, like smoking cigars, and like he was like, oh, do you think that like you could, you know, like do you think you could keep up with all the songs and like do this? And I'm like, dude, like of course, let's go. Let's make this happen.
Amazing.
So yeah, man. And the Goldfinger thing is like, you know, obviously evolved into this whole girlfriend's world of things now, and there's a lot going on with that.
Amazing.
You know, and that's been a great project. Like, once again, another one of those things that I feel like has been, you know, like probably should have been in Girlfriends back when I was 17. Like that was like the true music that like we were listening to and loved and grew up on. And now Girlfriends gets to kind of be in that zone again. But, you know, my first band with Open Air Stereo was more of this like rock thing, you know, which was like cool. but it wasn't the authentic music that I really loved as a kid. So now getting to be able to do that in Girlfriends, I think is definitely like another one of those full circle moments. And yeah, we've had great tours this year. Like I got to go on with Avril Lavigne for a month in Europe, which was amazing.
It looked amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, just like all kinds of cool stuff happening from that.